Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Streaming live,
Nandapura.
Miss Shraddha Mataji.
Sorry?
It is
Yes,
streaming.
it is streaming live. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Let me just change my profile here and check. Come on, Facebook. Why is it not allowing me to go? This is bad. Okay. Okay, here it says it's preparing. So let's just see. There's some glitch there. Zoom tells us that, but that's not necessarily the case. So let me see. Facebook. Okay. I'm just... okay. Now it does say that we are live, so that's fine. We'll just leave it like that there and get started. So we'll start today's day with the small prayer, short prayer to the spiritual master. Om Ajnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. All right. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for spending and deciding to spend your Friday evening in Krishna Katha, engage in Krishna Katha. So we will get started now. So what are we going to do today? Which verse?
We are starting finally chapter 5, Karma Yoga.
Finally, we are starting chapter 5, and we have been waiting. Have you been waiting? Chapter 5 all along?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
Because we enjoyed chapter 4 a lot.
You enjoy chapter 4 a lot. And that's the beauty of Bhagavad-gita, that you'll continue the enjoyment. It's not like an ice cream that's going to be over. And then you can come back again and relish chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, over and over, over and over. It's like a fathomless ocean where you keep on diving, and then you'll keep on getting goodies out of the ocean. So if you stay on the surface of the ocean, what are the things that you will see on the surface of the ocean?
Waves.
Floating on the surface of the ocean.
Oh, floating. All trash. Lot of trash.
Yes, plastic bottles and trashy kind of thing. Not very. But if you dive deep into the ocean, right? Then what do you find deep in the oceans? You find pearls, right? So similarly, you have to dive deep into the study of Bhagavad-gita to get out the real pearls, right? Superficially, if you just look at Bhagavad-gita, read it like, oh yeah, most of us were taught that, oh, Bhagavad-gita, what does it teach? Oh, it teaches us about duty. Krishna told Arjuna about his duty. So we might interpret that in the wrong way, and we might just think that, oh, duty, yeah, he's a Kshatriya, his duty is to fight, his duty was, this is what my duty is, right? But message of the Bhagavad Gita is something very different, right? I mean, you do your duty, but for whom are you doing your duty? Why are you doing your duty, right? So that is the big difference, which is the nimitt matra bhava savya sacha. And Krishna says that, you just be the instrument. I have already planned it out. I want it to happen this way. Why? Because I am Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, you say what you have to say. But that's a fact that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sooner we accept it, the sooner peace is going to descend on us. Otherwise, we'll be trying to fight all the time, right? Like that. So, well, since Sukumaradhe Mataji liked chapter 4, so maybe we should start with chapter 4 first. So what did we learn in chapter 4? What were some of the things that we learned?
Yeah.
Tell me a few goodies from chapter 4.
It's titled Transcendental Yoga.
Transcendental Yoga?
Knowledge.
Okay, because yoga can be of different kinds, and you're saying, okay, so he's talking about transcendental yoga where you connect with Krishna. Okay. Some key things, like if you come to chapter 4, there are some key
Sacrifice.
verses.
Sacrifice.
Talk about sacrifice. Yes, very good. Yagya, sacrifice. Yeah. What else did you learn? Some very important things in chapter 4. Now we are digging deep. We are diving into chapter 4. Give me the pearls from chapter 4.
Getting knowledge from a spiritual master.
Getting knowledge from a spiritual master. Exactly right, right? Very good. So you get the knowledge from the spiritual master. And then what were some of the qualities of how do you get that? What was the process that was defined?
Like Krishna.
Tadvidi pranipatena.
No, that.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain to me what is Tadvidi Pranipatena.
Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master.
And that's all, you approach a spiritual master?
Inquire
Approach
from
him
him
with a humble.
No,
Humility.
submissively render service to him.
Right. Okay. All right. And then from this particular chapter, when we're talking about the qualities of a spiritual master, so we talked about here the quality of a disciple, right? Disciple should approach submissively, a student should inquire submissively, he should also offer service, do service to the spiritual master, right? Then what about the spiritual master himself? What do you understand? What points do we get from this chapter about what should be the qualities of a spiritual master?
They have seen the truth, I think.
They have seen
He's in the same lineage, same. Like
very good. Yeah, he has to come from the lineage. And where does Krishna talk about lineage?
Yeah.
About lineage. What is lineage? What does lineage mean?
Parampara.
What does parampara mean?
Coming down from Krishna all the way down to
what is coming down?
the knowledge.
Knowledge, right? So he should belong to the parampara. So where does Krishna talk about a little bit about parampara?
Evam parampara praptim.
Yeah, and Namasya is writing there in succession from Manu. Yeah, he says, right? This transcendental knowledge I imparted first to sun god Vivajman, who then imparted it to Ishvak, right? So he's talking about parampara there. So the guru should come there. So guru should come, should be coming from the parampara. He should have seen the truth to be able to give it to you. And then also not necessarily called out like that in the chapter, but it is hinted in a different manner, is that the guru should also be willing to give you the knowledge. And what do we do to make the guru be willing to give us the knowledge?
Surrender unto him.
Surrender
and so
have faith in him.
Yeah, surrender easy. Yeah, Guru Maharaj, I'm surrendered to you. Like, can you do this thing? No, Maharaj, I'm very busy. So surrender plus seva, both you have to do, right? Both you have to do, then you will get that, right? And get that knowledge from the spiritual master. Okay, so now, and the student will do these things, like he will do, but what are some of the qualities of that student that are described? I mean, student is going and he's surrendering, so that his actions, those are actions, right? But what are other things that a student would be doing?
Serving other devotees.
Sorry?
Serving the devotees.
Well, that's again action, right?
Oh.
Serving is again an action. But I'm saying that for a student, what are some of the things?
He must have full faith in him and full faith.
He should have faith in him. Yeah, so he is faithful. Yeah. He's right.
He should be ready to accept the knowledge which has been given to him, which comes from the Guru.
Disciplic succession.
Yeah, disciplic.
Right. So he's faithful, and what else? Just faith is enough?
Enthusiastic?
He should be, well, enthusiastic. I would say enthusiasm has to be sustained, right? So I can get very enthusiastic. I go attend a lecture, everything is nice, everybody's saying Hari Bol, they give you gifts and CDs and all that, you're very happy, you're enthusiastic, right? But then that is just not enough. You need to have determination, right? A student has to be determined that I have to do this, right? And then what else? So I am determined. I am enthusiastic. I am determined. I really want to do. But what is it that comes in the way of me getting knowledge?
Material, sense gratification, material desires.
Yeah. What was the first two words that you said?
Sense gratification.
Sense gratification. So what is really coming in the way is your own senses. So the senses have to be controlled. Right?
Whatever we have to do.
Start getting detached to everything.
Exactly. Right? So very famous one from, and I'll just share that here with you. The famous verse is, we did that a few weeks ago, and which was from same chapter, Shraddha-va labhate jnanam tatpara samyatendriyaha jnanam ladva param shantim achirena adhigacchati. Right? And he's saying a faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who senses and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace, right? So you have to do all these things to get knowledge, right? So Krishna has been telling Arjuna about it, right? And then he also says that those were ignorant and faithless, what happened to them? But that's fine. We are focusing on the right path over here. And so then in 41, he says that one who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his action and whose doubts have been described by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self, and he's not bound by the reactions of, O conqueror of riches. So he's just saying that, right? You renounce the fruit, you act in devotional service. And because you're transcendental, your doubts get destroyed by transcendental knowledge. And in this chapter, transcendental knowledge was also equated to two things, right? One is the boat that crosses over the material, help you cross over the material nation, the ocean of nations, right? Another was like a fire, right? That burns to ashes all the doubts that you might have. The transcendental knowledge is going to give you all that, right? So then he's saying renounce the fruits of your action, your doubts should be, destroyed. And then he's saying, therefore, any doubts that have risen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge. So what did I understand from the knowledge? I got the knowledge. Mame vansho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. So he says that you are all my parts and parcel. And manmana mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So Krishna is saying that you do manmana mad bhakto, you are my part and parcel. I am supposed to worship him. And then what is it that you are saying now here? Armed with yoga, stand up and fight. So he's confused. Arjuna, these two verses down below here are going to put him into confusion. Right? So that'll take us to the 5th chapter, verse number 1, which we are going to do that. So praying to the Lordship, praying to the Parampara, and that and all the Vaishnavas, that they bless us as we start chapter number 5 today. And chapter number 5, the name of chapter number 5 is
Karma Yoga.
Is it Karma Yoga?
Action
in Krishna consciousness, right? And what is the chapter number 3 called?
Karma Yoga.
Right?
Karma Yoga.
Yoga. So he's now going to distinguish between the two. Okay. So let's look at this chapter number 5.1. Arjuna vacha sannyasam karmanam Kṛṣṇa punayogam cha samshasi yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Arjuna vacha sannyasam karmanam Kṛṣṇa punayogam cha samshasi yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Arjuna vacha sannyasam karmanam Kṛṣṇa punayogam cha samshasi yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. So Arjuna vacha, Arjuna said, sannyasam, renunciation. Karmanam, what is karmanam?
All activities.
All activities. Kṛṣṇa, O Kṛṣṇa. Punaha, again. Yogam, devotional service. Cha, also. Samshasi, you are praising. Yat, which. Shreya is more beneficial. Etayo, of these two. Ekam, one. Tat, that. Me, unto me. Bruhi, please tell. Sunishchitam, definitely. Okay. So before, okay, let's do the translation here. So translation is that Arjun said, first of all, you asked me to renounce work. And then again, you recommend work with devotion. Will you kindly tell me definitely, Sunishchitam, definitely, which of the two is more beneficial? Right? So doubt has arisen in his mind and he's confused, right? But before I go into the purport, a little while ago, I saw Meera Mataji raise her hand. Meera Mataji, was it something that you wanted to be addressed?
Yes, I don't know, but when I read, I don't know where I read, few times Krishna says to Arjuna, he's the best of Bharatas.
Bharat Rishabha.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, when he's the best and he's asking, what about us? Because he would be understanding so much more than.
Yes. So then that begs the question that Arjun has taken part in the pastimes of Krishna, right? So you have to be a soul of a certain level of elevation to participate in the pastimes of Krishna, right? He is Krishna's cousin brother. So when Krishna comes here, so Arjun is actually a very elevated soul. And in the beginning of chapter 4, Krishna says, Bahuni me, right? We have taken many jams and you have also taken many jams together. You don't remember and I remember. So this is a perpetual pastime that Arjun does. And Arjun is a soul devoted, related to Krishna in devotional service. And what is the mood or the rasa in which he does it? That is Sakhya Bhav, right? As a friend of Krishna. That's the mood in which he's doing devotional service to Krishna. Right? He's already a devotee of a very exalted level, all the Pandavas actually, right? So for us to think that these doubts are coming in Arjuna's mind is not the right way to look at it. Arjuna is asking this question. Remember, this conversation is happening where?
On the battlefield
The battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? So this Gita is being recited there. So it is for the benefit of everybody, not just us, not just Arjuna and Krishna, right? But for benefit of everybody else who is there and who's going to come in the future, right? Because of some conversation that happened 5,000 years ago. Look at the power of that conversation. Now, 5,000 years later, so many people are still analyzing and reading and gaining from that conversation, right? Look at our conversation that we have, Do you think that Mary and Rob are having an affair? Pregnant? Those are the kind of things that do you know what she did? Right? He did. Like, or do you know what this politicians, like people have different topics. Oh, what is the stock these days? And I think what's going to happen to Google and they're laying off and all that, right? So that's the quality of our conversation. This conversation has been done for our benefit. So don't put yourself in a very low position to think that, if Arjuna is so confused, I must be 1,000 times more confused, right? Or 5,000 times more confused, add one level of confusion for every year that has elapsed since this was spoken. But that's not necessarily the case. Arjuna is not illusion. He's just doing all that. And that is why these are called as Leela. It's a Leela. It's Krishna's Leela. It's a pastime. They're having drama for our benefit. Right? It's such a nice drama. What is the drama that we see these days? We pay money. We stand in a line. We pay money. We enter the cinema hall. Right? And then we buy some popcorn and we watch the movie. We're engrossed completely. And then we come back and then we start criticizing the movie. Right? This was not that. This was not good. This direction was not correct. This music was bad. This was loud. My seat was creaking. My neighbor in the cinema hall was bad. He smelled of smoke. We do all that kind of things, right? So, but this drama that Arjuna and Krishna are playing, this is an amazing drama, right? And so Bhagavad-gita was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna in the battlefield. So it's a conversation that is going on there, right? So Bhagavad-gita is actually a part of Mahabharata. The scripture, Bhagavad-gita is part of Mahabharata, the scripture, right? So Mahabharata, right? So it goes in there. And depending on the topics that are presented in those 700 shlokas that Krishna recited to Arjuna in flat 45 minutes, right? And Arjuna understood that also, right? So those are divided. Those are divided into different chapters according to our acharyas, right? So they will say, okay, this set of 47 verses, 46 verses, they are describing Arjuna's distress in the beginning. So that is Arjuna's. So some people will say Arjuna Vishad Yoga. And Prabhupada says, observing the armies in the battlefield. So different acharyas might give them a different name, right? Because Bhagavad-gita was not like a book, it's part of the Mahabharata, right? The Mahabharata itself is a big drama, right? To tell, that teaches you how you live your life. And inside of the Mahabharata is the core of the Mahabharata, which is Bhagavad-gita. But how do you live your transcendental life? The real way of living life, right? Is devotional service to the Lord. And that's what Bhagavad-gita teaches us here, right? Does that help you, Meera Mataji? And if you're speaking, you're on mute. So she'll come back later. Okay, so translation. So Arjun said, "Oh Krishna, first of all, you asked me to renounce work and then again recommend work with devotion. Let us look at chapter number 3 also." Oh, Janardhan, okay, Shiva. Why do you want me to engage? Why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work? Right? So in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna had done is that he had talked about the Sankhya Yoga, right? That you are the soul. That is Sankhya Yoga, your soul, not the body. There are 5 elements and this and that, right? He talked about all that. But then after telling him that you are the soul, right? Then he also turns over towards Buddhi Yoga and start talking about, devotional service. So then he's like, okay, then Arjuna here in chapter 3 is also confused. He's saying that, okay, so he said that I should do devotional service, which means that I should not fight, right? Because I'm a soul. What is the need for me to fight? Everybody is a soul. This is a material world. I don't have anything to do with this material world. Why should I fight for a kingdom if the kingdom is not real? Right? So these kind of things are going to come into his mind, right? And then Krishna is telling him about the knowledge. You're going to get the knowledge, right? Because towards the later part of chapter 3, he had asked, what is it that forces us to act, even though we don't want to act like that? And Krishna talks about lust and all that. And then how are you going to overcome these forces of our senses? How are you going to overcome that? So he says knowledge. With knowledge, you're going to get that. So knowledge. So he's saying, okay, well, then I should just do knowledge. But after you were telling me that with knowledge, you're going to get transcendental, you're going to start doing devotional service. But then in the end, you said, Atisht Otishta Bharata, stand up. Wherever you are situated, stand up from there and you fight. So again, he's confused that he doesn't know, what to do, what not to do, right? So that is why here in chapter number 5.1, he's saying that, So in this chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier than the latter because by being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. In the second chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. So entanglement, we will be entangled. How to get out of this material engagement by the Buddhi Yoga. So engagement means you have been put where?
In a cage.
In a cage, right? Cage means engagement. Engagement means you're put in a cage. So I was reading, somebody sent me this, little Urdu couplet. And it said that he was just saying that, look at the, I'll speak that in Urdu first because it'll bring out the beauty of it if I can able to recall the verse. But the essence of that was that yeah, I'm forgetting the words. But anyway, it said that look at the force of loving something, and he says, "Dekho, आशिकी का अद्भुत कि जब रिहाई का वक्त आया पिंजरे से मोहब्बत हो चुकी थी." So a bird is there in a cage, right? There in the cage for so many years. And now somebody has come and opened the door and saying, hey, come out. But he's saying, oh no, I've fallen in love with the cage, right? Same thing is our situation here. We are in love with our body, right? And when the acharyas come and tell us that, you are not the body of the body. No, mohabbat ho chuki hai. We have started loving our own body. right? So this is an engagement. That's why he's saying how to get out of this material engagement. You have to need buddhi, yoga, or devotional service, right? So in the third chapter, it was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. So in the third chapter, remember which you did last week, it was like, he has no reason to perform a duty. He also has no reason not to perform a duty. And then Kṛṣṇa said that if I stop doing a duty, all the three worlds will be put to ruination. So that is why I do it, because what great men do, common men follow. And so if I do this, everybody will stop it. That's why I'm just doing it. So here, right? So then Arjuna is saying that, okay, I got knowledge, so I don't have to do it. Right? Kṛṣṇa does it, that's fine. But, Kṛṣṇa is doing his duty, but, his duty is not as difficult as my duty, so seemingly my duty, and that is to go kill my grandfather. Right? It's a very difficult thing for him to do, right? So he's confused there. And then now at the end of chapter, Kṛṣṇa, Lord advised Arjuna to wake up and fight being situated in perfect knowledge. Right. So therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work in devotion and inaction in knowledge, Kṛṣṇa has perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Arjuna understands that renunciation in knowledge involves cessation of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? In other words, he thinks that sannyas or renunciation in knowledge should be altogether free from all kinds of activity, because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. He appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and therefore the same as inaction. He inquires, therefore, whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge, right? So he's a disciple, he's a devotee of Kṛṣṇa. He's a disciple at that time because he has accepted him as a spiritual master, right? So, so he's saying that, what should I do? Because to him, he's saying that, okay, I shall do devotional service, and then there is no work involved over there, okay? So let's look and see. I'm just trying to recall where this verse is, but it's a beautiful verse. I'm just searching Google. Yeah, I got it. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.136. Okay, let me just bring that up from Veda Base. CC Madhya 22.136 in the Veda Base. Come on, Google, find it out for me. All right, yeah. So we'll do this verse together here. It's a very familiar verse. I shouldn't have forgotten the number, but I did. Okay, so sharing the screen with you. Shri Vishnu Shravane Parikshida Bhavat Vaiyasaki Kirtane Prahalada Smarane Tadangri Bhajane Lakshmi Prituhu Pujane Akrurastvabhivandane Kapipatir Dasyetha Sakyarjuna Sarvasvatmani Vedane Balirabhut Kṛṣṇa Tire Shampara. So what it is saying, that Maharaj Parikshit attained the highest perfection, shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu. Sukdev Goswami attained perfection simply by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering the Lord. The goddess of fortune attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshipping the deity, and Akrura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Vajrangaji, which is Hanuman, attained perfection by rendering service to Lord Ramchandra, and Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so now tell me something that you remember from this verse. What are some of the things that they are talking about?
Bali Maharaj did the perfection below, praying the Lord's feet, lotus feet.
Okay, very good.
And then Lakshmi worshipped Lord Vishnu. Yeah.
Okay, so there is a whole list of. Let me just share the screen here with you again.
Hanuman did Ram.
Hanuman did what?
Service
Ram.
to the
Patir, Dasya,
Das.
Dasya ras serving, right? So here. So I want you to notice and a little bit of an English grammar test over here, okay? Maharaj proceeds to attain the highest perfection, shelter of Lord's lotus feet, simply by hearing about Lord Vishnu, okay? This word hearing, is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it an adjective? What is it?
Shravanam.
Hearing.
Shravanam.
No, I'm asking the question. Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Is it a verb?
Verb.
It's a verb. It's an adverb. No.
It's a verb, right? Hearing, right? Yeah, it's a verb. So he's hearing it about it, right? Not qualifying the hearing, but it's just hearing. Verb. Okay. Sukdev Goswami attained perfection by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay.
Reciting is a verb.
Is a verb? Okay. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by?
Remembering is a verb.
Is a verb? Okay. The goddess of fortune attained perfection by?
Massaging is a verb.
Massaging. And Prithu Maharaj attained by?
Worshipping.
Worshipping. So, is it a verb?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Akrura?
Offering.
In perfection, offering prayers. Offering.
Okay. And Hanuman?
And rendering.
Rendering service. Okay. And Arjuna?
By being.
Krishna's friend, right?
Krishna's friend.
Okay. Bali Maharaj?
Dedicating.
Dedicating everything, right? So you are seeing over here. And what are they achieving? They're achieving perfection. Perfection is prema pumarto mahan. The best perfection in our life is to attain love of Godhead. That's the highest perfection that a human being can get. Puman, human being, right? So those, they attain that kind of perfection by what? By doing some activity. Right? And we have done this word so many times. Anya abhlashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanabritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti muchyata. So if you're saying that, okay, so it looks like I can achieve perfection by doing devotional service. And this verse is talking about so many renowned people who achieved their perfection. And this verse is telling me that all of them were doing something. They're a verb, right? For everything that was decided, you gave me the verbs, right? Verb means, what is verb in Hindi? Varshana Mataji or Meera Mataji, what is verb? Or Ankur?
Kriya.
Kriya, right? Kriya means karma, to do something, kaam karna, right? So you're doing some activities, right? And then pure devotional services when you're doing anya abhlashita shunyam, without any desire for anything. Jnana, what is, it doesn't have jnana karmadi, no karma kandi activities, no jnana kandi activities, right? And also it has to be anukulyena krishnanam. It has to be favorable for Krishna. So you see that, that you are, while we are engaged in this body, right? For us to attain perfection, the route is to do some work. Right? Anukulyena krishnanu shilanam. Shilanam means you have to do some work. So they're saying you have to do some work. This verse is also saying doing some work, right? So then what the Mayavadis do, right? The Mayavadis' end goal is different, right? A Mayavadi can also use this thing. He can do Shravanam Kirtanam. They also sing Kirtans of Ramchandraji, of Krishna and all that. But what they're saying is that I'm just using this as a means for getting out of this body, getting liberation. Then I don't have to do anything, right? I don't have to do anything. So they think like that, right? Now let's see what's going to happen. What's going to happen if you go back to Godhead, right? If you go back to Godhead, what's going to happen, right? So for example, if somebody is coming from a remote part, for example, if somebody from Greenland, where the Eskimos live, right? So if somebody from Greenland is going to come to America, they're going to ask, what are you going to do in America? Right? Compare an igloo, an Eskimo in the snow in Greenland. He is now going to come to America. What are you going to tell him? What are some of the things that are done in America, or he might be expected to do in America?
He has to work.
He has to work, okay, till he dies because of the medical system. Okay. He has to work. Give me some examples of work.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Work we have to do everywhere. The thing is that the work changes.
Yeah, but the question here is that what is he supposed to do in America? Give me some examples. That's the question, that when he comes to America, and we agree that he has to work because everybody has to work. But my question is, what work do you think he's going to do?
He has to
On
follow
his
the rules and regulations of
qualifications.
the government.
Okay, and elaborate a little bit more on that. What regulations he's supposed to follow?
Like you see, here we drive on the left side, there he has to drive on the right side.
Okay, so
He
that
has
means
to
that even
follow
before he
those
follows
rules.
the rule, he has to go into the act of driving, right? So he has to drive. He has to do grocery shopping, right? He has to purchase.
Yeah.
Maybe he has to do the dishes also, right? So go to office, whatever work he has to do work, right? So this is the material work, right? Where we are saying that you are, even on a material plane, you're working. When you do devotional service, you are also working. Now, suppose after doing this, whatever, taking one of these paths that are there, Shri Vishnu, Smarane, Shramane, Parikshit. Parikshit Maharaj, just by hearing about the Lord, right? So he was doing some activity, he was hearing. So let us see that after doing all this, one of us goes back to Godhead. So let's see now what's going to happen there, right? So just as the Eskimo is coming to America, if we are going to tell him, hey, buddy, you have to drive your own car. Maybe you don't have a car there, you have sledges and things like that, but here you have to drive a car. So similarly, if we are going to go back to Godhead, we should better know what happens over there. Do you want to know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Only one person wants to know.
We want to know.
You want to know? Okay, that was, I didn't see a lot of enthusiasm, so I just wanted to double check. Okay. All right, so let's go to Brahma Samhita, our favorite book. Shriya Kantaha Parma Purusha Kalpataravo Druma Bhumischintamani Ganamai Toyam Amritam Katha Ganam Natyam Gamanam Api Vanshi Priyasakhi Chidanandam Jyoti Param Api Tad Asvadyam Apicha Sayatra Shirabdihi Shravati Surabhibhyascha Sumahan Nemeshardhakyo va vrajati nahi yatrapi samayaha bhaje shveta dvipam tamaham iha golokam itiyam vidantaste shantaha shiti viralaha chara katipaye. And so what is the description here? I worship that transcendental seat known as Shvetdeep, where Krishna lives, where as loving consorts, the Lakshmis in their unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Krishna as their only lover, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where the soil is the purpose gem, all water is nectar, every word is a song, every gait is a dance, the flute is the favorite attendance, effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, where there is eternal existence of transcendental time, who is ever present and without past or future, and hence is not subject to the quality of passing away, even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. Do you like this trailer?
Yes. It's very attractive.
It's very attractive, right? So what are some of the things that are going on there?
The main thing is that they're all serving Krishna, even over there in Goloka.
Yes. So service is going to continue over there. So what are some of the services that are going on there in Goloka? No service? Nobody serving?
Offering prayers to the Lord.
Who's offering prayers to the Lord here in this verse? Is anybody offering prayers in this verse?
Without.
How is the service going on?
Remembering Krishna, Mataji.
And who is remembering? Where does it say they are remembering Krishna?
No, in this particular verse, it's all telling what Goluka is like. When you read
Like.
Goluka, what it is like.
There must be something, right? There must be some verb somewhere. There must be the word service somewhere. Some service is going on there or no?
It says where the tree is transcendental. So every service may be, I don't know, transcendental.
No, that is describing the tree.
Tree is also
that is describing the tree is transcendental, not a material tree. Right? But
Yeah.
however, when we
It's
say
unalloyed.
Unalloyed what?
Unalloyed spiritual practice. That
yes, their unalloyed spiritual essence practice the amorous service, right? So the gopis are doing that as loving consort. They are doing that service to Krishna, right? Becoming his loving consort. What about the cows? What are they doing?
they give oceans of milk.
They give oceans of milk, right? So there is some service going on. Now, the interesting thing over to note over here is that every word is a song, every gate is a dance. So what are people doing there?
Singing and dancing.
Singing and dancing, right? Now, every gate is a dance. That is the power of the soul. The soul divide of this material body gets to its essence, and it is so powerful that every gate, even if you put one step, you won't put the step as we put over here in this material world. Every step they are dancing, try to dance from here to your kitchen and we will know we'll be out of breath soon. Right? But there, this is describing that. So the soul is powerful. The soul is very, very active. The body is active because of the soul, right? The moment the soul leaves the body, then there's no activity, right? The body cannot act off. So the soul, the nature of the soul is to be active. By nature, soul is active. And here you see the true essence comes out of it. That every gate is a dance and every word is a song. Imagine if I started singing this lecture today, right? So this is what we essentially are. This is what we essentially are. But then we are engaged in this material cage, this material body, and we start loving the body so much, right? But then in this verse of today that we are going through, which is chapter number 5 and verse number 1 of Bhagavad-gita, here he's saying, let me take the Sanskrit first. Yat Shreya etayor ekam, right? So etayor means of these two you're talked about. So he's saying that first you ask me to renounce work and then you recommend work with devotion. So between the two of them, he's saying which one is more beneficial. And Shreya is the word for beneficial. Shreyas, so there are two words that are used, Shreyas and Preyas. So you need to keep this in.
Mataji can't hear you.
What is the other word you said, Mataji?
Okay, sorry. Okay, yeah, sorry, I had gone into mute by mistake. Yeah, so I was saying that the words that I'm sharing over here is that Shreyaha, right, is what is more beneficial, and the opposite of that is Preyas. So there is Shreyas and Preyas, right? And then Shreya and Preya, it will become like once you used in the word. So Shreya is most beneficial. Now, give me some example of some things which are beneficial for us that the world recommends us, and give me all kinds of various varieties of things that you think will be beneficial, are beneficial. Like vitamin C is beneficial for improving your immunity, right? Like that. So give me some examples of what you think could be beneficial work.
Prayers.
Prayers, okay.
Chanting, what else? The holy name of the Lord.
Huh?
Chanting the holy name of the Lord. Cooking prasadam for cooking the bhoga for the Lord.
Okay.
Cooking the holy name of the Lord.
Okay.
Cooking prasadam for the Lord.
Okay.
Devotional
serving
service.
the deities,
We got that.
serving all the family members in a
Okay.
proper manner.
Service is there. Namasya says that. Okay, good.
Cleaning the house,
Cleaning the
keeping
house.
everything in order, getting all the
Right.
groceries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So these are
So
all
many
beneficial
services are
activities,
there.
right? Okay. Do you think that saving something for the old age is also a beneficial activity or not? You should
Very
not.
important.
Very important,
Very
right?
important.
Yeah. So there are different kinds of activities, and we classify and group them into two: shreyas and prayas, right? So prayas activities are those for which we will get an immediate gain and will not be everlasting, right? So if if I'm putting some money for my old age, it is fine. You should do it, but it's not an everlasting thing. Money that I put in my provident fund or my 401k in this life is useless in the next life, right?
Yes, will pay.
Right? So prayers will be short term. So whenever we are looking at anything, and shreyas is the opposite of prayers. So shreyas will mean long-term benefit. For example, if a child wants to play in front of the TV, doesn't want to do homework, right? He's going to get some gains, right? Enjoyment, watching the television show, but it's a short-lived enjoyment, because in the long run, what's going to happen? He's going to fail his class. So we always have to talk about what is going to be the long-term gain. So sweating it out, not watching the TV, doing your homework even if you don't want to do it, is actually a shreyas activity, because that's going to lead to better results. They might not be immediate results that you'll get. It will take some time, but they will give you everlasting results. Once you pass high school, you have passed high school. Nobody can take it away from you. You have passed. You got the degree, right? Unless you do something very drastically wrong and it gets taken away, right? So sometimes doctors' degrees are taken away like that. So shreyas and prayers, so we have always got to understand shreyas and prayers, especially in the devotional service, right? For example, give me an example of shreyas activity, which is difficult, but will give you good results in the long run.
Chanting the holy name of the Lord.
Yes, chanting the holy name of the Lord and getting up early in the morning and taking shower and then chanting. You see how difficult it is. The mind goes here and
actually
there.
Not, Mataji, it is not actually difficult. It is only making our habit that way, and then you get into the routine. Once you get into the routine, Mataji, the things become easy.
Yes. So in the beginning, it is hard.
It is hard.
It is difficult, right? And in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad-gita also, Kṛṣṇa describes and he says that, work that is very easy and very happy in the beginning and gives you grief in the end is work in the mode of passion. For example, eating 20 ice creams or an ice cream every day. And 40 years later, you have high cholesterol, or maybe sooner, like that, right? And on the other hand, things which are difficult now, like you said, right? In the beginning, you're doing it, it's bad habit, you're fighting that bad habit and you're trying to, or you avoid eating certain things, right? I won't eat too much. I will control my sense. I will control my tongue, right? And somebody might think that, what was the good that happened to that person? What good did he give? He did not enjoy anything in this world, right? He would just live on a very simple diet, khichdi and some fruits and dahi and milk, some milk like that. And so what good did that person get? One can ask the question, right? Because they are focused on the prayas. What is the immediate benefit? They see those people as suffering. Like a lot of people see us as suffering, right? What a bad life we have. We have no enjoyment, no alcohol, no illicit sex, no gambling, no going to, Las Vegas, nothing. We have no enjoyment in our life. But when is the enjoyment coming to? I showed you the trailer, right? The Lakshmis are there. There are purpose trees. So the trees are transcendental purpose trees. What does that mean? Purpose fulfilling tree is that you go to the tree and you ask anything and you will get it. So nobody is necessitated to cook in Golok Vrindavan. It's not necessary for you to cook. You want gulab jamuns, you go to a Kalpataru and you say, I want gulab jamun, you'll get it. But we will, out of love, want to cook for Krishna, even though we don't have a necessity, right? To that. So like what we do, I remember our grandmothers and mothers used to cook very lovingly for the whole family. And then at least as I was growing up, it was like, oh, let's go at least 2 days a week. Let's go to the restaurant and eat it. And then came the frozen dinners that you just microwave and eat it, right? So how slowly that seva is going away. Of course, not to blame the ladies because they are working at jobs, right? But I'm just saying that you see the decline over there. So devotees can also do that, like get takeout dinner, order. And now what is that company that brings you food to your home?
DoorDash.
DoorDash, yeah. So DoorDash is there, right? So I have got something better than DoorDash. I have got a Kalpataru in the Golok Vrindavan, right? Oh, Kṛṣṇa, you want this? Okay, go to Kalpataru and ask Kṛṣṇa Kalpataru to give it to me. No, we don't do that. Out of love for Kṛṣṇa, it's like, no, I want to make it myself. Like how mothers will say, okay, oh, the child will come and say, oh, I ate such a nice gulab jamun, such and such a place. And the mother will say, I'll make it for you. I can make it for you. We can all afford to buy things, but we want to put that love and affection there. So in that place, you will still be doing that. And one of the things over there is that, spiritual entities are all enjoyable and tasty. So all the spiritual entities, right? So, a flower is there, an apple is there. They are all enjoyable. You can enjoy that. Very difficult to explain in the material terms, but they are tasty. Everything is nice and tasty. Is everything in this world nice and tasty?
No.
There, everything is tasty. So even if there is a neem tree, you will taste it. It will be tasty for you, like that. Okay, so that is how it is there, right? So how do we reach that? In chapter number 4, he was talking about senses and things like that. So I just thought I'll bring in a little bit of a thing from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we'll read that. We'll read that together here. So Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me bring this up.
When we go to suppose I go to Golok Vrindavan, we all go to Golok Vrindavan. There we will get Satchit Anand.
Yes, not get Satchit Anand. You are already Satchit Anand. It will just, that false ego will drop and your real ego will show up, and then you will be Satchit Anand. After you start tasting a little bit of the Satchit Anand here also, right? Why do we get so happy when we are doing devotional service? What is that Ananda? What Ananda is there to get up early in the morning, take a cold shower, go for Mangalati? What is there for Ananda?
But how will we know that we will go to Golok Vrindavan?
You will go because you are following the acharyas. If you board a plane to Delhi, you're going to reach Delhi. You won't reach Bombay.
But we still commit so many offenses during
that is
the day.
That is fine, but we are all on the amend. We are following the right path, right? Even when the doctor gives you medicine, he says, here's a course of 5 days, 15 days, 30 days, right? It's not that immediately you get it, right? It takes time. And that is where the faith is there. My spiritual master.
How do you feel that ecstasy when it comes? You see, what is the that ananda when you get?
Why are you smiling? See,
because she's already experienced.
This is it. This is it. Just by being in this class, you'll smile for no reason. Why? Because transcendental topics are being discussed. Your favorite verse, Mat Chitta Madgata Prana, Bodhayanta Parasparam. So this is what it is. This is Kṛṣṇa. Because Kṛṣṇa is Satchidanand, and when you touch Kṛṣṇa by way of talking about Kṛṣṇa, right, you will get affected by that. Just as if you touch fire, you get affected by fire. You touch Kṛṣṇa with your tongue, right? You get affected. You feel very happy, right? Whole week we think about this Friday. We're going to talk, right? So that is what it is. You will get it. Satchidanand. Soul by nature is Satchidanand. And that is why, because by nature we are Satchidanand, and we have been put here in this miserable world. Brahma Bhavana Loka. From this month all the way to Brahma Loka, all the way there is miseries. Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. So what are we doing? We are out of place, right? For example, if somebody lives in Kashmir and you go and put him in Tamil Nadu, you can't bear the heat. Out of place, against the nature. If you take a fish and put the fish outside the water in an air-conditioned room, will the fish feel good? No, because it's against the nature. So because it is against the nature, right? So number one, we are Sat, The first thing is we are Sat. Sat means eternal. Soul never dies. We did that in second chapter. The soul, because the soul never dies, we are looking for permanence in everything. Will I lose my job? See, we're looking for permanence, right? Death of near ones, looking for permanence in relationship. Will my boyfriend dump me? Again, looking for permanence in relationships. So looking for permanence everywhere, right? I build a house. I don't want the house to deteriorate. I put $1 million in building that house. Not that I put it. And then, it should stay forever. It doesn't stay. In the material world, the moment anything is created, it starts to deteriorate, right? The moment a child is born, the child starts to age, starts to become old, right? Ayur harati vaipumsan udyan astanchayan. So with every rising of the sun and every setting of the sun, everything deteriorates. It's a funny thing is that, you take a nail and you put the nail on the wall and close your house and go away, come back after 10 years, right? Not doing anything to the house, the nail would have come out of the place a little bit. So things change, things move. That's the nature of the material world. And so we feel like fish out of water here. But the false ego is like that we foolishly think that we are enjoying our senses. But the moment we start enjoying the senses, right? And start realizing that we are enjoying the senses and how bad it is and how entangling it is and how engaging it is, right? Then through Gyan, the knowledge that we get, then once we turn our face and start going in the other direction, right? When we are from the scorching heat of this material world, we come into the shade of the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa, then the relief is immediate and then it smiles. And you will ask, why am I ecstatic? You will be ecstatic. Right? For example, if I were to say, Vaishana Mataji, do you know Sukumal Radhe Mataji is going to be there in your place, in your city? And, if I tell you that, how are you going to feel?
Happy.
Very happy.
Like, immediately. Why? Devotional connection.
Because
right?
I want to know.
Yeah. So anything, Kṛṣṇa and anything connected to Kṛṣṇa, we are favorable for that. We love Kṛṣṇa and Krishna's, everything, paraphernalia, everything. And it is like that, for example, most of us have got kids. I think all of us on this call have got kids, and maybe those watching us online. All of us got kids, right? So now, when my kids were small, we all go to a house and they tell us that, take off your shoes. So we take off our shoes, we go there, right? And so the kid went with the father first, right? And for whatever reason, you went later, a little later into the party. So you go, you're also taking your feet out, you're taking your shoes out, and you see your kids' shoes there. What do you think?
Feel
What
happy.
Very happy.
Feel happy. It's a shoe, dirty shoe. Right? So similarly, when there is anything that is used in the connection of Kṛṣṇa, is called tadiya. Tadiya is also very devotees is a favorite of the devotees. Anything to do with Kṛṣṇa. So that's why we feel very happy. Devotees coming, we get very excited. Somebody calls and we are very happy. You get a message from a devotee, we are very happy, like that. Because that is what our true nature is. We are Satchidananda, so we are Sat, right? Chit, we are knowledgeable. And the knowledge will come. And here's the interesting thing, that, right after the chapter 4, which is chapter on knowledge, comes chapter number 5, which is Karma Yoga. So basically it is saying, through Karma Yoga, you will get the knowledge. Through devotional service, you will get knowledge. Now here, this is a mind-boggling thing. Mind-boggling thing that if I don't study, I fail chemistry. If I don't study, I fail mathematics. If I don't study, I fail the biology exam. How come this transcendental knowledge seems to come by itself? Right? But the thing is, it doesn't come by itself. You already have it. Why? Because you are Sat, you are Chit. Chit means, you have got that knowledge also with you. So it's just that knowledge is covered because of the false ego. We are covered, we think we are this body, although we are something very, very powerful. The soul is very, very powerful. I mean, forget about the soul, the mind itself is very powerful, which is still material. So what to talk about the soul, which is spiritual? And that is why, because the soul is so powerful, that's why Katha, Ganam, Natyam, Gamanam. That is why they sing, they are so full of energy, and they walk because they are so full of energy over there. And so by the process of doing karma, by the process of doing work, right? Some service, you just go to the temple, some service you did, like either you gave a donation, or you went and cleaned the toilets, or you washed the dishes, or you chopped the vegetables, something you went and did to the temple, like that, right? And then by that process, suddenly you realize that I'm able to recite Bhagavad-gita verses. From where did that gyan come? From where did you get that thing of being able? I remember Sukumal Mataji when she joined these classes 3-4 years ago, or Vaishana Mataji when they joined, very bad at Sanskrit, very scared of reading Bhagavad-gita. Will we be able to make it? Will we be able to do it? Right? And now you are quoting verses from Bhagavad-gita. From where has that energy and the power came? You didn't go to Sanskrit classes. Why is it that it is happening now and didn't happen 20 years earlier? So what happens is that karma yoga, when you are doing things for Krishna, karma yoga is very purifying. It removes all the layers of ignorance that are in us, and then from inside, Satchidanand will shine through. Your true nature is going to shine through. And you cannot do away with your nature. Right? There is that famous story of a jackal, right? And one day the jackal was roaming about in a forest, and he found that there was a tiger, somebody dead, and somebody had skinned the tiger. Like when tigers die, people remove the skin because they use it for prayers and all that, right? So they had put the skin was there for drying, and he said, oh, this is a tiger. So he put that skin on so that he looks like a tiger, right? And then it's a story, right? To point something. So then the other tigers see him. They're like, oh, wow, he's like us. He's our brothers. He's like, come on, come and join our pack. So now he's starting to roam with the tigers, right? And so he goes here, he goes there, the tigers kill something, and then he just eats from there. So he's happily enjoying that. And then one day, the full moon comes, and then all the tigers start looking at the full moon and they roar. And then our jackal,
he cannot roar.
Cannot roar, right? Then he lets out his jackal thing, like, that they do. And then all the tigers come like, you, they come after it. True nature cannot hide it by just putting on a skin. This body is like a skin on the soul. It has to shine through. It will shine through. You have to remove this layer, which is there on our thing. So by doing service, that ignorance is lost. Not only that, even the devotional service, like you were asking Sukumalade Mataji, when I'm going to go back to God, when I'm going to get the Prem Pumarto Mahan, when I'm going to get this, right? But then in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Nitya Siddhya Krishna Prema Sadhyo Kabhi Nae Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koriyo Udoy. So what it says is that you are Nitya Siddha. You are eternally is liberated soul. You are a soul, right? Sadhya Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhyo Kabhi Nae. Krishna Prema is not something that you will get it.
Always.
Why? Because you already have it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you are wired like that. You are made like that. You are a jackal, so you will do like that. You are a lion, so you will do like that. Your soul. What will we do? We will serve Krishna. We are wired like that, right? But we have been given some free independence to not do it. But we are wired to do it, and that state keeps us happy. So Nitya Siddhya Krishna Prema Sadhyo Kabhi Nae Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Koriyo Udoy. So when you Shravan Adi means etc. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, we saw, right? Shri Vishnu Smarane, right? Right, like that. Prahlada Smarane Pari, like that, all that song. So you do from any of those activities, then what happens is Shuddha Chitta, your mind gets purified. Koriyo Udoy, it'll just like the sun rises, right? The sun never is destroyed. It just goes out of a vision and comes, right? Arises. Similarly, this devotional service is already there in your heart. Now, isn't that a good proposition? Tell me, yes or yes?
Yes.
There you go, right? So we are saying that you already have it, buddy, just find it. It's like the treasure hunt. They put something in your house and they say, look, it's in your house, go find it. like that. All that we have to do is Shravanam Kirtanam and then clear away all that.
You are going to share that verse in the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, I was just going to go to Bhagavatam right now. So this is from actually the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. And yeah, let me go there and read. I'll just read it's a very long chapter, but I'll read just relevant sections of that chapter to us, for us. Sharing the screen again. Okay, yeah. So chapter 9, verse number 4, canto 9, chapter number 4. Okay, canto 9 has got majorly pastimes of Ramchandra and then pastimes of others also, because they're training. We are doing the lineage till we reach Ramchandra. So Shukdev Goswami said, who is Shukdev Goswami talking to?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Parikshit Maharaj, the son of Nabhag. Okay, so the son of Nabhaga, named Nabhaga. So father and son, the son of Nabhaga, named Nabhaga, lived for a long time at the place of his spiritual master. What do you think he was doing there?
Serving him.
Oh, now give me the answer in Sanskrit. Tadvidhi paripatena, pariprashnena sevya. That's what he was doing there, right? Therefore, his brothers thought that he was not going to become a grihastha and would not return. Consequently, without providing a share for him, they divided the property of their father amongst themselves. When Nabhaga returned from the place of his spiritual master, they gave him their father as his share. Talk about that. Old father, now you take care of him. We keep all the money. Nabhaga inquired, my dear brothers, what have you given to me as my share of our father's property? The elder brothers answered, we have kept our father as your share. But when Nabhaga went to his father and said, my dear father, my elder brothers have given you as my share of property, the father replied, my dear son, do not rely upon their cheating words. I am not your property. Nabhaga's father said, all the descendants of Angira are now going to perform a great sacrifice, but although they are very intelligent, on every 6th day, they will be bewildered in performing sacrifice and will make mistakes in their daily duties. Nabhag's father continued, go to those great souls and describe 2 Vedic hymns pertaining to Vaishvadeva. So these Vaishvadeva hymns are, verses that you recite before taking food. So Grihasthas do that, right? When the great sages have completed the sacrifice and are going to the heavenly planets, they will give you the remnants of the money they have received from the sacrifice. Therefore, go there immediately. When Nabhaga acted exactly according to the advice of his father, and the great sages of the Angira dynasty gave him all their wealth and then went to the heavenly planets. Thereafter, while Nabhaga was accepting the riches, a black-looking person from the north came to him and said, all the wealth from this sacrificial arena belongs to me. Nabhaga then said, these riches belong to me. The great saintly persons have delivered them to me. When Nabhaga said this, the black-looking person replied, let us go to your father and ask him to settle our disagreement. In accordance with this, Nabhaga inquired from his father. The father of Nabhaga said, whatever the great sages sacrificed in the arena of the Daksha Yajna, they offered to Lord Shiva as his share. Therefore, everything in the sacrificial arena certainly belongs to Lord Shiva. Thereupon, after offering obeisances to Lord Shiva, Nabhaga said, O worshipable Lord, everything in this arena of sacrifice is yours. So, who is this blackish looking person?
Krishna. Shiva.
Shiva, exactly.
Shiva.
Yeah, so Shiva has come here to test Nabhaga, right? So after offering obeisances to Lord Shiva, Nabhaga said, O worshipable Lord, everything in this arena of sacrifice is yours. This is the assertion of my father. Now with great respect, I bow my head before you, begging your mercy. Lord Shiva said, whatever your father has said is the truth, and you also are speaking the same truth. Therefore, I, who knew the Vedic mantras, shall explain transcendental knowledge to you. Lord Shiva said, now you may take all the wealth remaining from the sacrifice, for I give it to you. After saying this, Lord Shiva, who is the most adherent to the religious principles, disappeared from that place. If one hears and chants or remembers this narration in the morning and evening with great attention, he certainly becomes learned experienced in understanding the Vedic hymns, and expert in self-realization. From Nabhaga, Maharaj Ambarish took birth. Maharaj Ambarish was an exalted devotee, celebrated for his great merits. Although he was cursed by an infallible Brahmana, the curse could not touch him. King Parikshit inquired, "O great personality, Maharaj Ambarisha was certainly most exalted and meritorious in his character. I wish to hear about him. How surprising it is that the curse of a Brahmana, which is insurmountable, could not act upon him." Sukdev Goswami said, Maharaj Ambarish was the most fortunate personality, achieved the rule of the entire world consisting of the 6 islands, and achieved inexhaustible, unlimited opulence and prosperity on earth. Although such a position is rarely obtained, Maharaj Parikshit did not care for it at all, for he knew very well that all such opulence is material. Like that which is imagined in a dream, such opulence will ultimately be destroyed. The king knew that any non-devotee who attains such opulence merges increasingly into material nature's mode of darkness. Maharaj Ambarish was a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev, and of the saintly persons who are the Lord's devotees. Because of this devotion, he thought of the entire universe as being as insignificant as a piece of stone. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa, his words in describing the glories of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Kṛṣṇa or about Kṛṣṇa. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa's temples, and Kṛṣṇa's places like Mathura and Vrindavan. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord, and he engaged his tongue in tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of the Lord, his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires. He engaged all his desires in serving the Lord 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service in various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment to the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. So I'll stop over here now and take reflections on what we have heard, and especially from what Maharaj Ambarish is doing.
Doing service at the lotus feet of the Lord all the time.
He's engaging all his senses. He's engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord, and that is the only way to overcome the senses. Otherwise, if we engage senses in our benefit, then, so when we talked about Shreyas and Preyas in the beginning of the chapter, right? When we talk about Shreyas and Preyas, then engaging your senses in the service of the Lord is really Shreyas. And why is it Shreyas? Because in the long run, your senses will get purified. But if you engage your senses only in your own sense gratification, right? Look at the brothers of Nabhag. How much property do you think they would have gotten there, right? They cheated on their youngest son, right? Divided all the money to themselves. And then the son, who respected and obeyed his father on every step, right, was awarded.
He got so much wealth from Lord Shiva himself.
There you go. Right? So this is what happens, that when you engage in devotional service, then the Lord is going to take care of you. And any money that you accumulate, any amount of material things that we accumulate is not going to help us. For example, I can give an example from my life. When I was back in India and working in Delhi. So I was in a multi-rise building, and the multi-rise building caught fire. I was on the 7th floor. So when a building catches fire, not only does the building catch fire, people's imaginations catch fire. So they go crazy. Elevators stop working. So the whole building has to come down through staircase, and staircase is full of panicking people. And there are electrical wires that will get burned and be short-circuited, right? So that was the situation. Those who were smart walked away first. Those who were a little, let me keep this, let me keep that. I was handling at that time, many years ago, it was a big amount of money. I was handling some tenders, which were 31 crore rupees of computer to be bought by my company. So there were files that we were working on. So I spent some time picking those files and putting them in a steel almirah and locking the almirah. I wasted some time and I was caught in this melee of people who were going down, right? But luckily, by Krishna's grace, I climbed on the the 7th floor that I had to climb down. And on the last flight of stairs, the panic was so much because you're seeing the relief in the front. People just pushed and my whole body flew 1 flight of stairs and landed down, and somebody caught me. Luckily, I was light enough to be caught like that. So anyway, so then we were watching others who were caught in that flames up there. And so there was Lakme, the big makeup company, had their offices, and they used to keep their money in safe in their office, payments, etc. So one of the big shots of Lakme was there, and I saw him standing on the ledge, the windowsill, standing on the windowsill, because all the staircases were in fire, so there was no way he could come down. Elevators are closed, there's no electricity. He's standing on the sill of the window on the 5th floor. I could come down from the 7th floor, but he was busy managing money, right? That's what people said. And none of us were there to see, but that was the speculation. And I could see that. And then, of course, I was overwhelmed. I left home. But in the evening, we watched on TV how he had to dive to his death. Because in the back, the building is burning. In the back, the room is burning. So the fire is coming. And he sees the blow. He jumped from there and he died. So the fire could not, his money could not save him. The fire engulfed him. There's nothing he could do. Nobody came to save him, right? On the other hand, can you tell me the story of a devotee who was saved from fire by the Lord? Very famous story, because of which you have festival in India, which is coming very soon. I've given you enough hint.
Holi. Holi.
There you go. Right? So what happened in Holi? Who was Holika? What was she trying to do?
Holika, she thought that she cannot be burnt in the fire, and she picked up the child in her lap, and she thought that he will be burnt and I will be saved.
Which child?
And
who was the child?
Ankur Prabhu wrote Prahlad Maharaj. Ankur Prabhu wrote.
Maharaj. Yes, he wrote that for 500 points. Yeah, and then of course Vaishana Mataji also gets points.
What was the name of the child? I forgot.
Prahlad, Bhakta Prahlad.
Bhakta Prahlad.
Like, yeah.
And then you say she was burnt and Prahlad was saved because
Lord. So apparently she had a shawl that she could put, and then so she covered herself with the shawl and exposed Prahlad, and then guess what? The wind came and the shawl fell on Prahlad, and she was burned. So who is in charge of the wind?
Varun.
Varun.
Pavan, right? Pavan, right? So Pavan is there, and Pavan is a demigod, and demigod are servants of whom?
Krishna.
Lord Kṛṣṇa.
Right. So if Krishna wants his devotee to be saved, then his demigods will act accordingly, right? So the best investment that we should make is that, do it for Krishna, right? And whatever that you have, you use it in the service of Krishna. That is the way to go. That's the way to live, right? If you don't do that, right? If you don't engage sometimes people do that. They will be like, oh, I'm a devotee. I don't want to use a cell phone, right? I'm a devotee. I don't want to use a computer like that. No. Prabhupada, in the verses in the Bhagavatam, it says, Falgu Vairagya. It's a useless Vairagya. Why? Because you're standing in front of Citibank and you're saying, I renounce all the money which is there in the vault. And the bank manager is going to come and tell you, listen, buddy, that never belonged to you in the first place. What are you giving up? Because similarly, everything belongs to Krishna. What are you giving up? You have been giving this body, you engage this body in the service of Krishna. Whatever has been given to you, you just engage it and give it to Krishna. Otherwise, you don't. Don't use it. So in the Bhagavad-gita also it says that, those who use all these things without offering them to the demigods verily eat only
Sin.
sin, right? You're eating only sin. Why? Because you are a thief. Once for Prabhupada, a very rich man came to Prabhupada and he said, Prabhupada, I do this. And what do you do? I go to the word, I cut, I'm just telling you an example. I don't know whether this was the exact example, but the essence of the story is he went, I get this thing from the nature, right? And then I sell it. I cut trees and I sell it and I make money. So then Prabhupada said, then what do you do with all that money? So he said, oh, money is meant for enjoyment. I enjoy. I have a family, I have relatives, I have a house, cars like that. I'd use it for that. And Prabhupada, you know how Prabhupada was very blunt. He said, you are a thief.
That's good.
Straight there on his face. Then he was perplexed. He said, like, why are you saying you're a thief? And then Prabhupada explained this to him. So then he said, what can I do for God? And then so Prabhupada said, think. So he said, okay, I can give some of the money to ISKCON. And then Prabhupada said, you are not a thief. Because now you are engaging everything that is there in the service of Krishna. Like that, right? So the sense is in Karma Yoga, that is what you do. You do your karma, but you are doing it for Krishna. And don't focus on the results, right? That is Karma Yoga. And when you also say Karma Sannyas, so sannyas means to give up, right? And the word karma can mean so many things. So Arjuna is confused. He's thinking karma sannyas means give up karma, means give up doing anything. But karma also means the resultant, the actions or the result of a karma. So what we are saying is that give up the results. Karma sannyas means I'm still going to do the work, but I'm going to give up the results. Not for must. Karmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to perform your duty, but don't think about the results, right? Offer the results to Krishna. And he's not going to keep all the things with him, right? I mean, like if our child comes and, bakes a cake or makes some nice goodies and they will come and say, hey, mama, hey, papa, take this. We don't take it all, right? We'll just take a little bit and then give it back to the kids, right? Sometimes kids come and give us like, here's my chocolate, here's my toffee, you take it, daddy. We don't take it, right? So similarly, Krishna also, gives it back to us. But our mood should be to give it to Krishna. Like that, right? So this confusion of Arjuna is going to be cleared in chapter 5. But right now he's expressing that confusion because we are confused. And we need to be told, because sometimes it is like, let me give up everything and let me just, engage in Krishna consciousness. I don't want to, but for a bhakta, it doesn't matter what. Sometimes you're asked to do the accounting for the temple. Sometimes you're asked to cook for the temple. Sometimes they might say, oh, clean the temple. Like, oh, no, I'm the cook. Why are you asking me to clean the toilets? I don't do this. I'm a second initiate. Like that. But then a devotee, pure devotee will say, this is service for Krishna. Whose temple is it? Krishna's temple. If I'm asked to clean the toilet, I am doing service for Krishna. That's it. Like Ambrish Maharaj, right? Engage all our senses in serving Krishna somehow or the other, right? Directly or indirectly. The example of Ambrish Maharaj is doing directly, right? So like, where's the temple for me to wash and use my hands, to clean the temple or sweep the temple, right? Well, then you give away some parts of the whatever gains that you got out of using your hands or your tongue, then you give away those gains to Krishna, or at least give some portion of that results to Krishna. So then also you're engaging your senses in the service of Krishna. Without doing that, there is no shreyas and there is no happiness. Because more you're trying to enjoy yourself, you will get more and more involved in that. Okay. And once you start doing these things, and in the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna had said that Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So he says that if we artificially try to control our senses, we will control our senses, but we won't be successful in the long run. Why? Because the desire is still hidden inside. But then once you experience a higher taste, then the lower taste will automatically go down, right? Like for most of the devotees, we hear the story, like, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? Like, oh, I was such a fallen soul. I used to drink, I used to eat meat and onion and garlic and this and that and movies and gambling. And I was into all kinds of things. And then I came to Krishna consciousness, and then I started chanting. And you know what? I do not know how it went away. That's the answer, right? That's the story everybody says. I do not know how it went away. Because you have started to engage your service in Krishna. You have experienced a higher taste. Having experienced a higher taste, the lower taste will automatically go away, right? Till you did not know what a paratha was, you are happy eating chapatis. But the day you eat parathas and we tell you that, in order to eat parathas, you have to give up chapatis, you'll be like, yeah, I'm game. I'll do that. Because you have developed a higher taste. Similarly, instead of gossiping, talking about this film actor, that film actor, politics, stock market, and this and that, when we develop the taste of listening to Krishna Katha or speaking Krishna Katha, then the lower things will automatically go away. Right? So I will stop over here 1 minute. You have 1 minute to ask any questions or reflections or anything you learned. Varshana Mataji is very happy.
You're muted, Mataji.
Varshana is muted, yeah. Yeah.
We cannot hear you.
I was just thinking about the shares and prayers, Mataji. That shares is so important that we should do for Krishna, which is long lasting, and prayers will die with us here in itself in this material world.
Yeah, and will be short-lived. I mean, you'll get it immediately, but it won't even sustain in your life during the life, yeah, and could lead to bad results. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Mother, a very nice example came to my mind. Recently, a thing happened in somebody's family. The boy was in love with a girl for 8 years and finally got married to her. This girl is very rich, and probably this, he wanted to get married to her because of this, that easy money he will be able to get. It was very clear. There was nothing much about the girl. And can you imagine, Mataji, in 2 months' time, just in 2 months' time, this girl has filed a case against the whole family, saying that they have demanded for the dowry and all false allegations against everybody, and everybody is in a trouble. And see, this he did a lot of prayers to get married to her, to get easy money, but how it has turned in 2 months' time, and it has created a chaos in their life. The whole family is in a horrible situation.
Yep.
Every Saturday, I have not been able to attend your class because they come and stay in my house, Mataji, because the case is filed in Pune. So poor thing, they have to come and stay in my house.
Entanglements, you see? One entanglement leads to other entanglement, and yeah.
Every member of the
I also
family
wanted to, looking at it from philosophy side of it. And by the way, I remember, I'll just take a few more minutes because I wanted to clarify. There was a question that Sutapa Matadi had asked, and I think she's not here, maybe because of the answer I gave her. She was asking, I'm just kidding. She was asking that in where she lives, there are a lot of people who were killed, right? So why are these killings going on? And she was also talking about what about the innocent children that are killed, right? And I was telling that when an innocent child is killed, you, from philosophically, you have to also see that, that you are looking at the soul in the child's body, but you don't know what the soul has done in the previous births, right?
Yeah, that's what I was asking when the earthquake happened, and I said so many young innocent.
Young innocent. Yeah, you asked that, right? Yeah. So I also wanted to clarify that, philosophically, this is explained like that, which is the truth, right? Why would otherwise some people die, some people not die? Why would a stone hit your head? And why are you engaged in or involved in litigations, right? The whole family, right? So these are karmic reactions that come. However, it doesn't mean, so you understand that philosophically, that this is why they're happening, but that doesn't mean that you give up your compassion. So I just wanted to be very clear about that. If we don't give up a compassion, like, hey, yep, jaisa kara vaisa bhara, tit for tat. Yeah, Durga is coming after you. Now what can I do? You did it. No. We understand the pain the soul is going through.
Yeah.
We understand that this punishment has been given to evolve the soul. See, after going through all this litigation, the boy might think next time never to do it again. Right? So this is, so people go through the Maya, puts you through this, but then as parents, we feel, as devotees, we feel compassion for that soul.
Compassion.
The poor soul is going through that. And that is why Prabhupada says that although Krishna says, I perpetually cast them in hellish planets, the devotee will go to a hellish planet also. Start preaching there. Because they are kind-hearted. Like that. Yeah. So it is entangling. Yeah. Material world is super entangling. And talking about, like people wanting to marry girls and things like that. So there was one boy who really, really wanted to marry, some girl. And like I'm Zubeda, let's say the name was Zubeda. That's what the one who told me this told me. Very badly wanted to marry, did not get married. She was married off to somebody else. He felt heartbroken and he lost his, complete control on his life. He was pulled into a mental asylum. And into a mental asylum. So like, he had his place where he would stay. And all the time that, he would be chanting the name of that girl, this, where are you, like that. So one day, one of the politicians, when they make these visits and all that, so he came to visit this asylum also. So he was being introduced, like, these are some of the people who don't have the mental balance. These are some of them, but they are not that, bad. They're there. Sometimes they lose it, but they are, we engage them in good activities and things like that. And then they came to this one, chanting the name of his girl all the time. Then they said, what happened? Well, this is a man that, he's crying all the time. He's missing the girl he didn't marry. And then they go to next, and there's a cage there, right? That person is locked inside and he's making very ferocious noises and very, very bad. So then the politician asked, like, what happened to this guy? He said, he's the man who married Zubeda. Oh. So you see.
So I've seen the case.
One guy, whether you get it or whether you don't get it. If you start aiming, start having desires, you'll always be unhappy in this material world. It's a guarantee. And to us, it looks like a very nice fruit, right? He was lamenting he didn't marry that girl. And the one who got married is lamenting, why did I get married to her?
Mataji, I'm leaving. Feeling so sleepy. Sorry.
I am very happy that you are leaving. I'm going to sleep.
My eyes are closed.
Yeah, you need that help. Yeah, but I just wanted to clarify my statement there, that don't misunderstand the message of the Bhagavad-gita.
Yeah.
That Bhagavad-gita says it's all karma that is happening, right? It is the truth. Yeah, that is the formula by which people are suffering, whatever they're suffering. But that doesn't mean that we don't have or attain the qualities of a Brahmana, qualities of a devotee, which are also defined in Bhagavad-gita, right?
Yeah.
And Srimad Bhagavatam, Karuneka,
Karunya. Very little bit when we get.
There you go. Okay. So then we will pray again for Namazia Mataji's mom, who is sick. So who wants to do the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 3 times? Any takers? Okay, Vindhyavali Mataji raised her hand. We'll give it to her. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Gopramandan. They're praying to the Lords that they take care of Namadhya Mataji's mom and whole family who goes through anguish when a dear person is sick. Please keep all the devotees safe and everybody engaged in Krishna consciousness safe, and everybody who's not engaged in Krishna consciousness also keep them safe by bringing them to Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much.
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Shraddha Mataji, for the best class ever.
Thank you.
Every day is the best class.
Every Friday is the best class ever.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, this is coming from, anything that's good is coming from the parampara of those who have taught us this. And so for that, we are eternally grateful.